Lenovo's first self-contained VR headset, the Mirage Solo, is finally here, and let's just get one thing clear out of the gate. It's really not meant for those who just want to dabble in VR. Only people who know and care about it will feel comfortable shelling out $400 for this thing. It's interesting because it sits in a sort of no man's land between cheap phone-based headsets and the more elaborate options that you have to connect to a PC. Even with all that said though, there is a lot to like about Lenovo's first self-contained headset. For one, the company deserves credit for a pretty clever design. They went with a sturdy plastic band that wraps around your head like a crown, and it has a dial in the back that you crank to get everything fitting snugly. A button on the bottom of the headset lets you adjust the orientation of the band and headset even more, and I found the whole thing surprisingly comfortable even with my glasses on. There are some downsides to keep in mind though. That semi-rigid head strap means the Mirage Solo is much less portable than a Gear VR or an Oculus Go. I didn't notice much light leaking in when I was wearing the headset, but a few of my colleagues with less bulbous heads than me struggled to shut out that outside light completely. And while my face didn't get too sweaty while playing games for prolonged stretches, I do wish Lenovo used that sporty fiber found in Google's cheaper Daydream View headset instead of foam. Once strapped in, you'll get an up-close view of the 5.5-inch Quad HD LCD screen here. And I know what you're thinking, while OLED screens are more common in VR headsets because they're more vibrant and have faster refresh rates, Google and Lenovo went with a specially built LCD meant specifically to reduce ghosting, and it does actually work very well too. The big draw here is Worldsense, which allows apps to track your position in the real world and mirror those movements in virtual space. Google and Lenovo pulled this off with two cameras baked into the front of the headset, motion sensors inside the headset itself, and a whole lot of computer vision know-how. That means the headset doesn't require external sensors, so positional tracking works literally anywhere, even outside in the bright spring sun. Exactly how much you'll get to wander is up to developers though. I could get up and bounce around a little bit, but most apps won't let you move around for more than a few feet right now before reminding you to take a step back. Since Worldsense tracking is one of the big reasons to buy the Mirage Solo instead of a cheaper phone-based headset, we're left with a big question. Will developers actually take advantage of this? So far, the answer appears to be yes. Of the roughly 250 Daydream apps currently available, we're told that roughly 40 will be updated with Worldsense support by the time you can buy a Mirage Solo. Our review unit was preloaded with a couple, and frankly, I've had a blast with them so far. The most impressive by far has been Blade Runner Revelations, a Daydream exclusive that puts you smack in the middle of a futuristic neo-noir Los Angeles. It starts by putting you in the seat of a flying car called a spinner, and I spent the first few moments crouching and stepping side to side and craning my neck around to take in every little detail of the interior of the car and the exterior aerial views of LA. Then you're dropped into this tense, vibrant back alley that's teeming with NPCs where you're supposed to start your investigation. And then there's Res Infinite, a port of a re-release of one of the best video games of all time. Taking in the trippy, dynamic visuals is already a treat when you're doing it on a TV, but being able to crane my head around while shooting down enemies with a musical laser feels incredible. If other developers commit to crafting experiences as fun and as visually arresting as this, then you can go ahead and consider me a Daydream convert. Even though the Mirage Solo uses a last-gen Snapdragon 835 chipset and 4GB of RAM, Lenovo and Google didn't just stick the guts of a year-old smartphone into a headset. That 835 itself has been tweaked to run at higher than normal clock speeds when required, so in terms of raw performance, the Mirage felt at least a little smoother than when I ran the same apps on a phone inside a Daydream View headset. The Mirage Solo obviously isn't as powerful as something like an HTC Vive tethered to a gaming PC, but thanks to those chipset tweaks and the headset's strong selection of apps, the difference isn't as big or as bothersome as you might expect. A few other things to note. I've generally gotten about 2.5 to 3 hours of playtime off a single charge of the Mirage Solo's battery, and even after downloading all of the pretty apps I could find, I still haven't filled up the 64GB of onboard storage. And if you're more interested in reliving memories than cruising through virtual space, you might want to consider add-ons like Lenovo's $300 Mirage camera. It's expensive, yes, but it captures everything that's happening in the 180 degrees directly in front of you. What's more, the dual camera setup means each wide photo that you eventually offload onto a Mirage Solo headset has a notable sense of depth to it. It's actually kind of remarkable, even though I'm not sure anyone is going to rush out and buy a $300 camera to work with a $400 headset. All told, the Mirage Solo feels like the VR headset Google has wanted to build all along, and Lenovo actually brought that vision to life. It's a niche product, and if you don't have more than a passing interest in VR, this probably isn't for you. The price tag complicates things too. At $400, it's twice as expensive as the similarly self-contained Oculus Go, but it has more power under the hood. On the other hand, the Mirage Solo also costs the same as the Oculus Rift, which has a broader selection of apps but requires a tethered connection to a PC. It really boils down to a question of lifestyle. If you value flexibility and the freedom to move but don't want to compromise on performance too much, the Mirage Solo might be the best choice for you.